Of course, while I'm on vacation, one of the biggest reveals at Eden Zero happened and I couldn't even cover it. Irony sucks sometimes. But anyway, hey guys, what's up? It's Chris here with another Eden Zero chapter review after a month-long hiatus due to vacation. I am sorry for the long wait, and I know this is like a very big moment in Eden Zero, chapter 200, the big reveal of Ziggy's identity, and just a whole lot of stuff got revealed and happened in the last few weeks, and I was so excited and I wanted to make a review, but I had no equipment, I had nothing with me, and I already told myself I was going to be on vacation, so no videos. However, earlier in the week, there should have been a video that I had recorded and was being made before the reveal of Ziggy's identity, and now with this chapter with the start of Ziggy's backstory, basically it's me questioning if Ziggy is actually the final villain of Eden Zero, so go give that a watch, even though that's a bit outdated with the current information. I don't really talk about the Ziggy reveal that we got, but other possibilities and how we could see Ziggy not being the final villain, if not the penultimate villain of Eden Zero. So go give that a try, because I wanted to make that video for the longest time, but I was just procrastinating the hell out of it, and it ended up coming out later than I anticipated, but me and my editor worked really hard on this, so please give that a watch, just for your time. But anyway, enough with this big intro and stuff like that, so let's hit that intro and get right into the review. Chapter 204 of Eden 0.0. I'm liking all these gaming references and stuff like that Machima tends to do whenever he does these cover arts for each chapter. Yet the cutest ones and nicest ones tend to always be on chapters where it'll make me cry or just be like, okay, that was way darker than it needed to be. But yeah, we start off from where we got last time with Ziggy revealing his identity of being a future version of Shiki from 20,000 years in the future. Shiki's questioning, what are you talking about? You're me from 20,000 years in the future? And Ziggy states that, to be precise, I am a Shiki from an alternate universe. You are the Shiki of Universe 3. And he states that before you ask, the Shiki from Universe 1 was killed by Draken Joe. So we're getting the split in the timeline of how this Ziggy came to be. As he goes back in time, 3 years ago in the Aoi Cosmos, the explosion on planet Nero 66. That is where things began. That is where the split in the timeline started. So we go back to the events that we initially know. Ziggy activating the 20,000 antimatter bombs that were stuffed in Nero planet 66. He had the choice to run or stop the explosion. And we kind of go through everything from the very beginning. There was 20 minutes till detonation and they all had to get out of there. He asked if they can stop it, and Pino says it would be impossible. The terminal was down, and he kind of used an independent all-link system network to activate them. And Shiki asks what's happening to the planet, and well, it will be destroyed. There are lots of people on the planet, and Shiki's making an argument that they have to do it. But Rebecca's saying that there's nothing we can do right now. Shiki goes off to try and stop it, as Rebecca calls out, we have to get out. And if we all remember, after this moment, Shiki manages to make the choice that, alright, let's get out of here. Because we all got that whole thing from Xiaomei saying that there were two options available. And while she didn't have any direct influence to Shiki, the version of Shiki that we're following right now, he chose to leave and get everyone away from the planet before it exploded. But this version says, no, I'll stop it. As he literally just states that he is the Shiki that wanted to stop the explosion. He used his gravity power to compress all 20,000 bombs in an attempt to destroy them. But then something happened that they couldn't have foreseen. When his gravity was compressed as far as it could go, it resonated with Rebecca's power to jump through time. It caused a space-time distortion. I'm also liking the illustration of like all the static and electricity and energy flowing through this entire area with the bombs and Shiki and Rebecca. In that distortion, Shiki, Rebecca, and the 20,000 bombs ignited an inexplicably large burst of power. And Ziggy explains that every antimatter bomb had enough energy to jump forward 1 year in time, meaning that with 20,000 bombs, they were blasted to 20,000 years into the future, which is where we saw in the very first arc of Eden Zero, where we see that it jumps to 20,000 years in the future, a broken planet, and Rebecca's B-cube stating Eden's Zero. And Chica's like, do you honestly expect me to believe that? And Ziggy's like, I'm sure you don't. I didn't believe it myself. but he had no choice but to accept reality. And we jump to 20,000 years into the future, a highly advanced civilization, as we see that Shiki from Universe 2, that Ziggy, his body, he's a bot now. As then another bot comes in and tries to calm him down, calling him Ziggy. But he's saying, no, I'm not Ziggy, I'm Ziggy. So it's probably like an auditory thing that he was trying to say his name was Shiki, but he ended up saying Ziggy and everyone called him Ziggy. But he started to go crazy. And you're like, where am I? Where is everybody? Where are my friends? And the other doctors and researchers, the other bots are trying to calm him down, and they eventually shut him down. They power him off for an unknown amount of time. And then we cut a little bit further into the future, probably a few days perhaps, saying that once we get some better parts, we can rebuild you even better, so just put up with that for now. Also, from now on, I'm just going to refer to this version of Shiki as Ziggy, since he is Ziggy right now in the current timeline, to stop with any confusion. But anyway, Ziggy says, I can't remember anything, was a human. And the bot he was talking to states originally he was, but his body was severely damaged. They had to replace it with a mechanical one. He states, I'm a robot. I feel like there was someone else. And they state that there was a woman with him, but she was too far gone and couldn't save her, as he remembers Rebecca's name. It's Rebecca. I remember her. She's my friend. Where is she? Let me see her. And he says, she won't care if I'm a robot. She says it doesn't matter if you're human or machine. You can be friends with anyone. As he asks where she is, as the doctor's trying to explain to him everything that's going on. But he's like, very well, this way. And we see, oh man, this, I don't think this needs to be censored or anything, but I feel like it does kind of need to be censored to an extent, because it's also kind of dark and disturbing to a certain extent. Ziggy walks into the room and he sees Rebecca strung up in the center of the room with wires protruding all over her body, and she's dead. A lifeless Rebecca is being held up in the air with wires just in her body as they just wanted to study her. Ziggy is just shocked and is trembling of how he sees his best friend. As the doctor says, she was in even worse shape when we found her. We thought we could at least repair her exterior. As Ziggy's just like, it can't be true, it can't be true. But the doctor tells Ziggy not to get too close, as she's a valuable research specimen. Even after death, she is emitting an unknown ether signal. As Ziggy is just going crazy, just not being able to handle the situation, asking what they did to Rebecca. As he's saying, I'm going to come and save you. But he starts steaming and he's like, they need to shut him down now. And they manage to shut Ziggy down. We then cut back to the present as Ziggy states that 20,000 years in the future, the human race is extinct. It's a world of machines who all believe in Mother. A few decades passed, he almost completely forgot who he was and lived like all the other androids. Then he states to one day. He goes back to see Rebecca, the type of design robot that he was before, Ziggy the Demon King, as he goes up to see Rebecca, saying that after all these years, you haven't changed. So, Rebecca was being perfectly preserved by the bots and scientists of the future to study her, which I do feel like this said they had to replace some of her body parts to kind of heal her or whatever, to see if they could bring her back like they did with Ziggy. But still, it was a few decades, so it could have been 20 years, 30 years, it could be 50 years. We have no clue, it's very vague. But Ziggy says, after all these years you haven't changed, but I can't remember who you are anymore. But I'd like to see you alive. I heard that you and I were friends in the distant past. It's hard to believe, but apparently I used to be human too. Of course, I have absolutely no memory of that now, as one of the robots in the area states that Ziggy needs to come with him so that they can talk. And we then cut to a room that seems to be cut off with a bunch of data spreading everywhere, with what seems to be a council of bots meeting with Ziggy, as they finally discovered that the ether that Rebecca is giving off is time-traveling ether. They begin to state that as a result of decades of research on her ether, they determined that she has the power to restore space-time and travel through time. This means there's hope. They tried to come up with some kind of plan. Maybe now they can accomplish it. Ziggy's wondering what the hell they're talking about. He has no idea what they're trying to say. But they said that Ziggy's a big part of all of this. And we get a very big reveal that in this point in the future, the cosmos, the universe, has lost Mother, and they're on a path towards destruction. Eventually, the ether will run out, and the life functions of every android in the cosmos will cease. Now, that's an interesting thing. And I know I don't want to bring up Fairy Tail yet right now, but this kind of reminds me of the whole Edalus thing, where magical power in Edalus was kind of a scarce resource after overuse of time, and by the end of the Edalus arc, they ended up having to lose all the magic power in the world, and they had to learn to live without it. So it looks like in this future, Mother is gone, and the ether is rapidly being used up within the universe, and as we all know, bots tend to use ether to power themselves, to function themselves, similar to how ether flows through living beings. But back into the story, they need to recover the cosmos to what they were meant to be, a world where Mother exists, and where humankind flourishes. Ziggy's like, humankind? And it stated that with the extinction of humans led to the loss of Mother. Without Mother, the cosmos ether is diminishing, and now we androids too are nearing our end. Ziggy doesn't quite get what they're trying to say, but they then bring up the ether gear called the Eye of God, which is what Noah has. It is the power to observe alternate worlds, parallel universes, other worlds different from our own, different timelines that they call them universes. And apparently, there appear to be an infinite number of them, and they have been observing them for more than 10,000 years. So they do have a bot that can use the Ether Gear Eye of God. But apparently, humans go extinct 20,000 years in the past, which is the time period that Shiki is in right now. And the cosmos ether dries up in nearly every single one of them, all except point 0. That is the world where all time converges. Even with their technology, they can't observe it. Thus, we may say it is the only world with potential for a better outcome. There is a strong possibility that the events in Universe 0 affect those of all other universes, and state that there was Universe 1, which was the story up until Belial Goer when Shiki died and Rebecca did her first ever on-screen time leap to the past. Universe 2, which is this version of Shiki that became Ziggy and came back to Universe 3. And then we have Universe 3, which is the Shiki we're following right now. Apparently there is a Universe 0, a prime universe where everything connects and affects every other universe. Majima is really going in with this Eden Zero multiverse thing. I swear, if he somehow makes the Fairy Tail universe or the Rave Master universe, Universe 0, and that being the way to save Mother, that would be hilarious. I know he did a crossover with Rave Master and Fairy Tail Eden Zero in the past, which I do want to read and make a video on it at some point. But that's not. I don't think that's like 100% canon at all. So we'll see what happens with that. But that would be crazy if he ties Eden Zero to be like a part of Fairy Tail to a certain extent. That would be fun. We cut back to what they're planning. Ziggy is to use Rebecca's ether to go to Universe 0, 20,000 years in the past, and prevent the extinction of the human race. Ziggy's saying that he couldn't possibly do a mission like this, but they say that only Ziggy can. He was a human that lived 20,000 years ago, and now he's an android. He has the heart of both kinds. He states that he has no memories of being human, but they have complete faith that Ziggy can do it. And he's questioning how in the heck is he going to get to the past 20,000 years ago. As they say, we'll build a ship, presenting Rebecca's B-Cube with Eden Zero on it. A ship to travel across space-time, the Eden's Zero. A ship going from planet Eden to point 0, as the chapter ends. So that is a pretty dark and grim chapter to start off with. We know 100% that Ziggy is a different version of Shiki, but a version of Shiki from Universe 2. From the end of the Aoi War, where instead of him saving themselves to get out of there, he chose to try and stop the bombs, but in doing so, jumped him and Rebecca 20,000 years in the future, him being almost completely dead, barely alive, and was turned into a machine, but Rebecca too far gone and unable to be preserved, thus basically turning into a pseudo-android, perfectly preserving her to be a research specimen strung up in a pretty bleak and grim way. And now we get the reveal that there is a Universe 0 that affects the outcomes of all the other universes, and that Mother is gone in the future where Ziggy was teleported to, and that ether is drying up. And they reveal that the Eden Zero is from the future of 20,000 years ago, which will explain why it has so much stuff in it. And it could also mean that Ethereon is actually Rebecca, that she is the thing powering Eden Zero. This alternate version of Rebecca from an alternate universe is the core of Eden Zero. It's Ethereon. And that's probably why Ziggy wants it. It's not 100% confirmed, but this Universe 2 Rebecca could be this Eden Zero's power core. But this doesn't completely explain Universe 2, where Ziggy is the main baddie. It could be he is an alternate version of Ziggy with Dark Ether, like how I speculated in my Ziggy is in the final villain video originally, but by splintering off in Universe 2, things changed, and thus the flow of time was changed, creating an entirely different universe. where the current Ziggy right now is that version of Shiki from Universe 2, or was always this alternate version of Shiki from the very beginning, at least up until the original Ziggy died or powered down. I have no clue, and I really need more, because there are so many gaps in this timeline and everything that I just need more answers to. But either way, that was the chapter for Eden Zero 204. This was a relatively longer video than I initially thought of doing while going over this chapter, but a lot happened in it, a lot I wanted to say, and there's still more I want to try and talk about. But for now, this is all I'm going to say to refrain from this video being almost 30 minutes. I don't believe we're on break next week, so we're definitely going to get some more answers next week, and probably the continuation of the fight between Ziggy and Shiki. Maybe a hint as to how they could save the universe. But what did you guys think of this massive reveal? Do you think that there is a way for Ziggy to save the world without wiping out machines? Or without wiping out humanity? Why is Ziggy trying to wipe out humanity if he knows that the future will lead to no Mother? Why is he trying to get rid of Mother to essentially dry up the cosmos that is threatening all droids? And how is Shiki going to save the universe and stop Ziggy? And what other secrets is he hiding? Leave your thoughts and opinions down below so we can talk about this. I do my best to try and read every single one of your comments, and I love interacting with you guys, and I want to make more Eden Zero content. I want to make another Eden Zero video some point in the future about this reveal, about Ziggy and how all this can work out. But for now, look forward to more Eden Zero chapter reviews every week when the chapters come out. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really does help, and it shows that you guys enjoy my Eden Zero content so that I can continue doing Eden Zero content on the channel. And if you want to support the channel more directly, don't forget to check out my Patreon and my Ko-Fi accounts to check out everything whenever I upload other stuff, as well as potentially even ask for specific videos and reviews for other series that you'd like me to cover in the future, as well as help with any future larger videos that I do want to do in the future. It'll help get them out faster, and it'll keep them all in very good quality. But with all that said and done, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I can't wait for next week and for more. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.